And Julian, you don't need a very small gap for Julian to try to fit that bike through it. You come through shoulders and elbows out. But look, the last race was a beauty, and I think if Rob Scott replicated what he did last race, it took him to the last lap, last corner pretty much, to pop it into the lead to get the win. So
yeah, whether or not he's just slowly getting better during the day, or whether he's found something on those last couple of laps, I don't know. We'll find out here whether or not he can get up closer to the lead earlier, which is what he needs to do. Let's make it a little bit less work for himself towards the end. But look, he's just been riding so well. As I said earlier in the day, like he's a very experienced, fast rider, but I guess he's demonstrating that here, making the SV650 work well, and took out the win in the last race.
Yeah, I'm sure they're a bit of fun to ride, those SVs.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
I've never actually thrown the leg over one, but they look like they're a bit of fun.
Same engine, I think, that they put in the V-Strom 650.
More than likely, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's exactly the same spec, but I'm pretty sure it's the same engine.
No, but they would probably have different cams or different size throttle bodies or something on it. They'd no doubt tune the power for a different part of the rev range, like they do with a lot of motorcycles these days. You see it across all brands, Chris, with different types of machines that share a donor engine, like a GSX-R engine in a GSX, and same capacity, same bore and stroke, but totally different horsepower as they retune the engine for more torque or more usable power in the middle of the rev range.
Yes, Kane Bauman and Phil Paps is coming up to head up the, what's that, row 3, Rod?
Yes, row 3.
Nicely presented triumph there from Phil Paps. He's certainly enjoying his racing. Matthew Long coming up to take his place in the centre of the front row on the VFR 400. He's been having a great ride on that bike today.
Yeah, and Garth Newton's fourth, so first on the second row on the little RGB 250. Bit of fun on the little two-stroke bike, Chris.
Yeah, great bike, Rod.
We've got the CR 500 of Julian Winlow in pole position. So interesting at the start, Chris, if he can keep that front wheel on the ground, which he usually struggles to do.
Very much doubt that. Massive wheelie again, but it's cost him a few places, I think.
Yes, but looking like he may get the run around the outside into turn 1, which is exactly what he's done.
Cuts the nose off Matthew Long, I think, yeah. From Rob Scott.
Just got so much more nimble corner entry on that motard-based bike.
Yeah, a bit of courage doesn't go astray too, which I think when he's got
plenty of courage,
loads, yep.
Plenty of courage.
So once again, Rob Scott with his work cut out needs to get past Matthew Long and then bridge a couple of second gap to Julian Winlow. And Julian knows that Rob Scott's capable of beating him, so he's certainly going to be out there trying as hard as he can.
It looks like Craig Johnson got a pretty good start this time as well. I think he's in 4th position on the 400.
Yep, and that will be good because Craig is a capable competitor. And he's going to be trying very, very hard to pull back that other VFR 400 of Matthew Long, make a contest of that. Yeah,
we've got Carsten Bauermeister on the Fireblade there, rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, Kane Bauman behind that, and as you said, the RGB 250 of Garth Newton right behind Kane. So they're pretty well bunched up in this one.
Yeah.
But Julian's still holding a comfortable lead, a couple of bike lengths down through the S's. Matthew Long still holding second position, so Rob Scott hasn't been able to do anything about that.
I think up the hill here, Chris, the 650 should quite easily dispatch that little 400, but he's a little bit far back.
It's certainly got the acceleration, but it wasn't quite enough to get up the inside of him into suckers. So I expect down the back straight this time, Rod, he might be able to get past Matthew Long. Yeah,
he certainly needs to if he's going to try to have any chance of winning this race against Julian Winlow on that CR 500.
Yeah, Matthew's put a couple of lengths on him down the back there, so gee, Rob's going to have to work very hard here. I think he's going to have a gut lunge, yes he does, and it looks like he'll get it done.
Yeah, no, there's a comfortable move on the brakes from Rob Scott. He's moved nicely to second position, and let's see if he can get his head put down, Chris, and if he can get on the back wheel of Julian Winlow and challenge for the lead.
Well, he's been absolutely loving his racing here today, Baskerville. Big grin on his face at lunchtime. I'm sure he's got a big grin on his face right now, just he can see himself getting up there to Julian Winlow and showing him his back wheel. Mind you, Winnie's got a nice comfortable break there. We've got 6 laps remaining, so there's still time.
Yeah, plenty of time. Julian Winlow's holding a just under 2-second gap over Rob Scott. Lap times in the previous lap were Julian Winlow with a 1:02.9 and Rob Scott with a 1:03.3, but Rob did have to contend with getting past Matthew Long, so he's got no excuses now. He's got clear track ahead of him, and he should be able to hopefully get back up towards the front of the field.
I think Rob Scott probably holds the record for the maximum number of penalties in a Formula Basketball race as well. He got a 10-second penalty for every lap of the last race, except for the starting lap.
Okay.
Not a bad achievement. There's no trophies for that. Certainly not dropping Matthew Long off yet, though, on that VFR 400. Matthew's riding that very, very well.
No, look, last time round, Chris, virtually identical lap times, 1/10 difference between the two.
Close contest further back between Kane Bauerman, Phil Paps, and sure, I can't pick a other rider going down through the S's at the moment, Rod, but 3 abreast going to turn 1. There wasn't much room between them.
Must be Cameron Rao, Trevor Renton in there somewhere.
I think that...
Oh, I can see Cameron Rao. He's just going up the hill now, so...
I think that's Brett Mansfield, actually, on the Yamaha R6. So
okay.
He's having a fun time. Matt Allen just re-entering the pits. Not sure what's up with Matt's bike, shaking his head in disgust.
It's the first time he has used this particular bike, Chris, and he just recently bought the little 250. So it's probably, you know, got a few irons to sort out, so to speak.
Julian Winlow just coming over the start-finish line now. Handy lead over Rob Scott, but surprisingly Rob has not dropped Matthew Long off at all. In fact, I reckon he's going to have his hands full beating Matthew Long in this race. Matthew was challenging under brakes at the end of the back straight this lap just gone, so I think while Rob thought he might be in with a win, he's going to be struggling to hold on to second place here.
Well, Rob's definitely not riding as hard as he did in the previous race, Chris, so he's you know, the last lap was a 1:05.2.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
unless he had a moment.
Well, I don't think he knows he's running in a different category, so you know, they're not in the same classification of racing. So if he goes too quick, he's going to break out of the Formula Basketball.
True. Yep.
So he can go as hard as he likes if he wants to challenge for the actual track position, but it's going to be he will cop another 7 penalties.
Yeah, Matthew Long again having a big look under brakes, and in fact he's going to try. Oh, gee, I tell you what, that was close. He was certainly looking up the inside, but backed out at the last minute. All over the back of Rob Scott. Be interesting to see if he can actually get a pass.
He's certainly looking to do that move, Chris, and he's looking up turn 1 here as well.
Yeah, it just doesn't quite have the straight line speed to really challenge at the end of the straight.
It's going to be a tough ask for Matthew to get past the 650.
And still that contest going back further in the field between Phil Paps, Brett Mansfield and Kane Bauerman. So, in fact, there's 4 of them in it now. I think it's Robbie Reardon on the 300 in there as well, is it? Yes, it looks like it. And
yeah, in the back, just the back of that 4 bikes is Cameron Rowell on the CBR 250.
Yeah, they're certainly having a lot of fun between them. Julian Winlow just coming over the hump on the back straight. Very, very comfortable lead now over Rob Scott, but Matthew Long, is he going to find a way through there? It's a big ask, as you said, Rod, but Rob looks like he's leaving the door open for him. And then we get Garth Newton looking for a way past and Carsten Ballmeister just behind Rob and Matthew. CBR 900 versus RGV 250.
Yes, a huge difference in power between those 2 bikes.
And Craig Johnson in there as well on the VFR 400. You wouldn't get 3 more different bikes.
Craig Johnson's a bit further up the field, isn't he? Oh no, he's right behind.
No,
sorry,
Craig.
Yep, it is Craig.
So they're having an absolute blast, those 3. Surprised Julian Winlow hasn't gone back to doing wheelies for us. He's got a big enough lead.
I'm sure the next lap round he will. We'll keep our eye on him as he goes down Calvin's next time. He's just coming over the hump now on the CR500.
Matthew Long, is he close enough this time to put a move under brakes? No, not
Well,
quite.
he's certainly gaining time there, but he's just too far back to actually make the move on Rob Scott.
Good experience for Matthew though, to be having to think about where you put passes on around basketball. Pretty new to racing.
We just saw Julian Winlow just lapping Law Desplin.
Oh no.
So Law's, once again, she hasn't made the, what's she trying to do, Chris? She wants to get a race without being lapped.
That's right, without seeing the blue flag.
Without seeing a blue flag.
And out on the last lap now, so she almost made it, but not quite. Despite that, she's still holding a nice position in the Pre-Modern 500 Championship. So she's still been very competitive, but when you're mixed up with bigger bikes in the Formula Basketball class, you do often get lapped.
Just looking for the leader. There he comes.
Just over the hump now for Julian Winlow, and behind him Rob Scott. Matthew Long not close enough to put a move on, unfortunately, for Matthew, but he stayed there for the whole race behind Rob Scott, so he would have probably picked up a little bit, Rob being a very experienced racer. Julian will comfortably pick up the win there, Rod. Rob Scott, Matthew Long third. Carsten Ballmeister has held out Craig Johnson, who got past Garth Newton.
Yeah, I'm just keeping my eye on Julian Winlow now, Chris. At some stage he's going to do a celebratory wheelie.
Without a doubt. Brett Mansfield there getting the better of Phil Papp, so he'd be pretty happy about that. Kane Bauman seemed to back out of that contest. He's certainly done enough for what he needs to do for the championship, but I don't know if he had a few issues there. Running 67s, he usually runs closer to 55s. Try again, 65s.
Julian is just at the top of the hill now, Chris, and he is just cruising. Just unlike Julian.
Oh, back straight surely, Rod. I'm sure he hasn't gotten out of wheel stand.
Oh, he must be tired.
That's got to be it. You'll have to go and have a word to him.
The sunny conditions, I think, has got to him.
So only 4 races left for the day, Rod. We've got our Historic Open, Pre-Modern Open and Formula 3 up next. That's been providing some great racing between James Ryan, James Gibson and Tim Lindquist on the 600.
Yes, we've had 3 really good races earlier today, and it'll come down to, once again, Chris, to whether the nimble 600 of Tim Lindquist can get a good start and maybe find some track space between the 1000cc bikes.
Yeah, well, Tim certainly had a good crack at it last time, and it looked like he might have been able to actually put a braking move on at the end of the straight on James Gibson. Yes,
he got a really good start and just didn't quite well, the other boys obviously put their head down, but he looked like he had a really good opportunity at the start of race 3, and he had a good second half gap over the field. But to the other boys' credit, they hunted him down, and then they put on a great show for the remaining 7 laps.
James Ryan has certainly impressed me today, though. I'm sure he's done his own PB,
yes,
getting into 57s.
I did catch up with him at some stage, and he said that was his PB on that machine, so he's very pleased with a mid-57 on that bike.
Yeah, he's spectacular to watch on that bike. Gets a very untidy back wheel in the air under brakes. As I said earlier, it's great to see those old historic bikes being ridden as hard as they are. It does take you back to yesteryear, Rod.
Yes, I didn't think the braking package of an FZR1000 would get the back wheel up in the air, but obviously it does.
Yeah, good sized brake rotors on them, but back in the day they did used to suffer with a bit of brake fade.
Never ridden an FZR1000, Chris, so it was on my list of bikes to ride at one point in my life, but never got the opportunity.
Yeah, I've done a bit of racing against them, but certainly I've never ridden one on the racetrack. Certainly when they first came out, absolutely stunned to see it was Michael Dowson riding one of the first FZR1000s in the country, running in the Swan Series against Grand Prix bikes and running midfield. it was just astonishing to see a production bike being that competitive, and just could not believe that a production bike could do that. So they certainly made a big splash when they landed here in the country. Couldn't believe how big back tyres were, 4.5 inch, I think.
What year was that, Chris?
88.
88.
Yeah.
I would have even thought 88 they would have had a bigger wheel than that.
No, I don't think so. I think the first 5.5 inch rear rim came just after that with the 750s.
Yeah, the 89 ZXR 750 had as a production bike. I think that was the first to have a 5.5 inch rear rim.
Yeah.
And they used to run a 170 tyre on the 750s, I think.
That's right, yeah.
Which pretty hard to find these days, a 170 rear tyre.
Yes, that's for sure.
But virtually everybody that had those machines back in the day would convert it to a 180 tyre pretty quickly once they became readily available.
Yeah, well, even in modern day, most of those machines running 180 spec tyres, which seem to work quite nicely on them. I'm not sure what James is running on the back of his bike. Do you know what size tyre?
He's got it's a 200 VO2 Bridgestone.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be working for him nicely. Other than one nice big slide he pulled through the sweeper earlier this morning, looks to have been hooking up very well. Yes,
he was running a tad too high on the pressure by the look of it from race 1. So we did have a chat about it. Looks like he's had no issues since. So he did come down a little bit on the pressure of that back tyre. So hopefully that's done the trick.
Well, these guys have certainly produced some good racing today. James Gibson looking very threatening in race 3. I actually picked him for the win, but Ryan dig deep and managed to hold James Gibson off. But who knows what race 4 might bring, Rod.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be down to the wire again. I think we'll see a repeat of the previous 3 races with any of those 3 guys capable of the win. It's just going to come down to, who's got the biggest brakes at the end of the straight, or who wants to win, hungry enough to take the extra risk to push.
Yeah, good to see Tim Lindquist stepping into the Opener 600 class with a newer CBR 600 for next year. So Tim's obviously been riding very, very well in the pre-modern class, so it'd be great to see him entering the big bike field, I guess.
Oh, okay. What is he going to be competing on? I wasn't aware that had happened.
Yeah, CBR 600, a newer one. I think he got from Jason Spencer. Okay. Or, could be wrong there. It's over there next to Jason Spencer's setup.
Okay.
Great looking bike, as his pre-modern CBR 600 is sitting there on pole position. Beautifully presented.
It's always beautifully presented, the bike. It's always immaculate. Like a lot of bikes we see here today. Very well presented machines. Julian Winlow's straight back out for this category as well, Chris. So we're seeing the CR500 there.
Yeah, certainly getting a good workout today, the CR500, but red lights on, ready for a race, and it looks like Tim Lindquist has got this jump again, but James Gibson this time will finally head the field into turn 1.
And James Ryan got a very bad start, and he's back in about 5th or 6th position, so he's going to have his work cut out to get back through to the front.
Yeah, that's a terrible start for James.
Yeah, looks like he bogged it a bit, and then it got a little bit too excited on the throttle and pulled a big wheelie, and he just lost a hell of a lot of time.
Yeah, hard to see him doing much from there, even though he's making his way through the field now, but given James Gibson's been riding as well as he has, I think James Ryan's going to have his work cut out to make it 4 in a row today.
Well, it's going to be a great battle to see him get through, Chris, but it's going to be tough. Very tough from there. As we're talking about starts earlier in the day, if you get them wrong, you can create a hell of a lot of work for yourself, and so it'll come down to James's fight and desire right here. He's just moved into 4th position with an outbraking manoeuvre of Trevor Roll at the end of the straight, so I guess he's not that far back, so let's see how he goes.
Yeah, for sure. He's set the fastest laps of the day in this field, so he's certainly capable. But James Gibson also hasn't had free track either today, so it'd be interesting to see what James Gibson can do. He certainly gapped Tim Lindquist on the first lap. 61.8 James's flying lap. And obviously nice comfortable lead as they go over Suckers there down into Calvin's, and making the most of that R1 down the straight. Pull out everything he can on that 600 behind him.
Yeah, he's definitely using that track advantage to his best, James Gibson. He's looks like he's pulling away at the front, Chris. He's got a reasonably good gap, and it is expanding. And James Ryan has moved up now into third position, so he's going to be hunting down Tim right in front of him, and wouldn't be surprised if he gets through in the next lap or so, Chris.
Yeah, probably down the back straight this lap, I'd say, Rod. If he can just close up that gap a little bit. In fact, he already has, top of the S's. I think Tim's realised that he's done enough for the day, so he's not looking to challenge James Gibson. I think maybe even up the hill here, James Ryan might blast up the inside with the 1000cc bike. Yeah,
this will be a good example of the horsepower. But once again, track position with Tim Lindquist in second position. He's going to make James Ryan work a lot harder for it.
Can't quite get it done into Calvin, so as I suggested, it looks like it's going to be run down the back straight to get that 1000cc bike out past the 600. Does that quite comfortably, but can he bridge the gap now on James Gibson? Or have we got maybe a 4 or 5 second gap there, Rod?
Yeah, it's out over 3 seconds, and previous lap James Gibson was into the high 57s. This time round a low 58, so James Ryan a 58.3 and Tim Lindquist a 59.6. So quite a bit of work to do for James Ryan to catch James Gibson, and it's going to be tough, I dare say, Chris, because the last couple of laps James Gibson's actually been pulling away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, great ride from James Gibson. I don't think he's raced down here before. He's done a few track days, but I think this could be his first race meeting. So to get into 57's, very, very impressive.
Yeah, 57.814.
I'm not sure if that's faster than what James Ryan did earlier in the day.
No, he was a 57.5 approximately, which was his fastest lap on that bike to date. But James is certainly, or James Ryan has certainly got his head down now, as you can see. He's dropped Tim Lindquist off, and he's out trying to go out after James Gibson out in the lead. Too many Jameses, Chris.
Yeah, I was concerned about that when we started the day, Rod. But yeah, it's hard to see James Ryan doing much about that lead now with only 4 laps to go, particularly given how well James Gibson's riding.
Yeah, well, James is another high 57 that last lap, so he's still showing a clean pair of heels each lap to James Ryan. James with a low 58 the gap's out to just under 4 seconds now, Chris.
Yeah, it's a big ask from there, Rod. And it's not as if he needs to do anything special to try and bridge that gap. It's not as if the championship is dependent on it, so James Ryan's probably going to be content to finish off the race in that position, as with Tim Lindquist just a little bit further back.
Yeah, it's a shame it's spread out so much, considering the previous 3 races, how close they were.
Nice to see James Gibson pick up the win, though, for his efforts today. He's been riding well all day. In fact, I think they've each had a win today, haven't they? Well, Tim Lindquist hasn't, of course.
No, James Ryan's had 2 wins.
Yeah.
And, hang on. I can't remember.
Yeah, James has won all of them except for this.
Okay.
Good contest coming through the chute right now with Rob Scott, and that's Jeremy Archer and Matthew Long have been at it all day in this class, at least. Rob Scott's been having a ball out there. You can almost see the grin from here under his helmet.
Yeah, all 3 of those guys, Chris, all in the 63s, so they're having a ding dong, and Jeremy Archer's on that very interesting CF moto that he's built up. It's probably the most interesting CF moto in the country. Wouldn't be another one like it for sure.
He certainly put some time and effort into it, and been riding quite well. James Gibson, not a 58.1. He hasn't backed it off by a lot, despite his 6-second lead. He's probably wishing there were more races to come, Rod.
Yes, James Ryan certainly decided second place is going to be enough for him, so he's now running comfortable mid-59s, and Tim Lindquist's last lap was a flat minute, so it'll just be keep it circulating, Chris, till the finish and bring it home. 2 laps to go.
Yeah, still a good contest further back there between Rob Scott, Jeremy Archer and Matthew Long. Rob Scott still holding them out, but Jeremy Archer looking for a way past as they just fire up the hill now. Rob Scott seems to pull a little bit through the S's, but coming over the start-finish line, Jeremy Archer was all over the back of Rob Scott, so that CF motorbike must have an advantage somewhere.
He's done quite a bit of work to that engine, so it's got a lot more horsepower than it initially had. It's certainly an interesting bike when you look at all the different bits and pieces on it.
Yeah, it looks still pulled that SV6 in a little bit down the straight.
Yeah, it actually gets down there very well. Looks to have quite a bit more top speed than the Suzuki in front of it.
It's not going to be enough this time though, because Rob's got a nice little margin there over Jeremy Archer as they come back to see the last lap board. I'd say Rob Scott has got that position well in hand. And James Gibson coming around to pick up a well-deserved win in that race 4 of this class. Good on you, James. And James Ryan, I'm sure he would like to make it 4 in a row today, but that start didn't quite work for him, Rod.
No, you lost, as we talked about earlier. You lose it on the starts. What happened there, Chris?
Julian Winlow, I don't know what happened, but he was just coasting, looking around, coming over the start-finish line, and got right in the way of Tim Lindquist coming over to pick up 3rd place.
Okay.
So arms waving and a lot of words being said each way.
So Trevor Riley come home in 4th position. And Stuart Bugg in 5th, Martin Long in 6th, Peter Bellchambers 7th, Mark Hemsley on the mothership in 8th, Rob Scott, Jeremy Archer. Looks like Matthew Long has just pipped Jeremy Archer on the line.
Yeah.
So
very close between them as they came over the line, Rod. So Matthew Long finally got the better of his opposition today. He's been battling with either Craig Johnson or Rob Scott all day. It's a good ride there for Matthew.
Yep.
So that brings up our lights again, Rod. Probably been the highlight of the day for me, I think.
Yeah, well, the racing, as usual in lights, can always be very cut and thrust, and we've seen 3 great races so far today.
Jesse Woods just first bike out in the dummy grid, looking up at us, giving us the thumbs up, so he's obviously feeling confident. Hopefully he can get another good start there, Rod. Get up amongst it with Jeremy Huddleston and put on another big show for us. Yeah,
it's a fine line getting those little 125s to launch. Liam Walker's been the king of the starts on the Moto 3 machine today. He's fired it through up the middle of the guys from the second row, so
just amazing, Rod. I don't know how he's been doing it, but
it starts. It's phenomenal how well it starts.
Like he shot out of a cannon, as they say.
It really is very good to watch. But as you know, the 125 or the 2-stroke machines are notoriously hard to get going. So they need a lot of revs and a lot of clutch slipping and a lot of paddling at times with the feet just to get them to go off the mark.
Interesting to keep an eye on Mark de Jong as well on the, we call that a Dayglow orange, fluoro orange. Moto 3 bike. He got a much better start in the last race than he has previously. Quite a capable rider. It'd be good to see Mark get up amongst it as well.
Yeah, he certainly was up there in the last one at the start. Not sure where he finished in the end, but he was certainly, I think, in 5th position at one stage in the opening laps.
Yeah, obviously coming to terms with that newer bike. But on the 125 GP bike, we did see him getting around here in the 59, so he's certainly capable.
Certainly a very different engine sound for the Moto 3 bikes compared to the little 2-strokes, Chris.
Chalk and cheese. Hard to pick this one, Rod. I'm going to put you on the spot though. Who's it going to be?
Oh, I'm thinking Jeremy Huddleston might lift for this one.
I can see Jesse Wood's dad, Peter Wood's down there. He's not looking up, so that's okay. We can talk about him.
Yeah, look, I think Jesse's been the class act today. I think he's rode very, very well. I know Jez will be very hungry to get a win. So I don't think he's had one today, has he? He's been riding very, very well.
You know what? I'm not going to count Taran Ocean out of this. I think as a just to throw it open, I'm going to say Taran Ocean for the win today.
I'll go with I'll stick with Jesse Woods. I think he's shown really good speed today. The outbraking, his braking at the end of the straight to get into the lead in the last race was pretty phenomenal. He was a long way back, and that just showed his talent on the brakes was exceptional there. I think if he's going to, someone's going to have to push Jesse pretty hard today, I think, to get the win. It'd be great to see a good battle at the front. It just looks to me, Chris, like Jesse's got a little bit up his sleeve today.
Yeah, look, I can't argue that one at all, Rod, but Taran certainly got some determination, and if he gets away well, I just think he's a chance. So I'll put my money on him, just as I shouldn't say a long shot, because he's a very, very capable rider, but only that he hasn't been challenging for the lead today.
Well, race 1 he was up there. He had the unfortunate incident, but look, if Taran gets a good start and he's anywhere near the front, he will definitely push. He's not scared at all to have a go, and if he can see a way of getting through to get a win, he will definitely have a crack at it. He will have a go. I
don't know that young Liam Waters is going to have the outright pace to match it with these guys as the race wears on. No doubt he'll get another good start and maybe lead the field for the first couple of laps, but after that, I think it's going to be between Taran Ocean, Jez Huddleston and Jesse Woods. We shall soon find out, because we're now in the starter's hands. The red flag comes in and the red light about to go on. So racing, and once again Liam Waters just launches that Moto 3 bike. Puts 2 or 3 gaps on, bike lengths on them before even turn 1. He's unbelievable.
It just gets, it just starts so well compared to the 2-strokes.
So it's Nathan Green, I think, again getting a good start into. And
once again, Jesse Woods got a good start, and he's back in about 5th position. So.
But Taran Ocean into 4th place, Rod.
Well, and interestingly, Chris, Jesse Woods is behind Taran, so he's back in 5th position, and all the work to do to come through from the start.
Well, Taran's certainly close enough this time, if he's good enough. So this is going to be a good contest.
It's going to be a ripper.
Down the straight for the first time, and Liam Waters still is holding that lead over Nathan Green, Jez Huddleston, Taran Ocean and Jesse Woods. 5 in a row. You want to get out and have a look at this one, guys. This is going to be good. So Liam Waters just holding off Nathan Green over the line. Nathan looking for a run up the inside, but that would have been pretty big from there, Rod.
Yeah, he was definitely not going to do it from there, Chris. It was a long way back, and Jeremy Huddleston looking to go around the outside of Nathan Green into turn 2. That's a long way around there. But It's going to be Horsepower City up the hill for the little 2 strokes versus the Moto 3s.
A little bit of a gap there for Taran Ocean to make up. I'm sure he will. He seems to get a little bit better as the race wears on. But as long as Liam Waters is there at the front, just holding up Jezza Huddleston, I think there's every chance Taran and
well,
Jesse catch up.
Jesse Woods is all over the back of Taran there, but Taran got a very good run onto the straight, and Jesse's in behind in the toe there for the slipstream. And I'm sure he's going to have a go on the brakes, which he is. And it looks like Jeremy Huddleston also on the brakes has gone into second position up the inside of Nathan Green. So still young Waters at the lead, but Jeremy Huddleston now into second place. Like in race 3, he's very quickly got onto the back wheel of young Liam.
Yeah, well, Taran Ocean's not going to like that. Equal machinery, and Jesse's just gone up the inside of him, so I'm sure Taran's going to fight back. Runs a little bit wide through turn 2, so he's obviously pushing.
Yes, Jesse Woods now has to get past Nathan Green, and I'm sure we're going to see those 3 back out in the lead again.
Liam Waters still doing a great job there at the front. Still leading them as they go over suckers. As I said earlier in the day, it seems like Calvin's Corner has been his issue, because Jezza ranges right up beside him and actually leads him onto the straight almost. But he seems to be improving that.
Looks like Taran Ocean got up the inside of Jesse Woods there.
That's a big move down there.
So whether Jesse's had an issue or looks like Taran up the inside of Nathan Green. So
yeah, that'll give him a handy gap over Jesse Woods there as well, Rod.
Yes, certainly will. And Jesse looks like he's going to be having a look around the outside like he did in race 3, and he's round the outside of Nathan Green into turn 1.
Pretty tight in there, Rod, but they'll come through.
He's come through. It's a nice clean move from Jesse Woods to take that 4th position back.
Liam Waters still holding off Jezza Huddleston. That's a great ride. Can Taran Ocean make up that gap to Jezza? What sort of lap times are they doing? 59.4, 59.2.
A little bit off where they were earlier today, Chris. Maybe the track's just getting a little bit hot.
Yeah, look, possibly.
Oh,
that's a problem for... Who's that?
Nathan Green, I think. Or was it
I think it's Taran Ocean, yeah.
It looks like he missed a gear. I'd say that this time, Chris. Unlike when I said about Tim...
Is that a knee slider, Barry?
Yeah, that's it.
But he seems to be back on it again, so I don't know what his problem was. Maybe it was a gear, as you say. Liam Waters still holding off Jezza Huddleston. Flushes through with a 59.4, so it's not as if they can't increase the pace, unless, as you said, Rod, the grip's gone away a little bit.
Yeah, I reckon all the guys are on the same tyres have been on all day, so the tyres will still be okay, but you know, they would be past their best. And definitely the track temperature right now would be the hottest it's been all day.
Yeah, well, certainly as far as the 2 strokes go, the air density and temperature might be playing a little part. I wouldn't expect it to matter with the 4 strokes as much. So that can account for a bit of lack of speed as the day wears on, but...
Yes, very fine-tuned on those little 2 strokes, constantly changing the needle height and jets to make the most out of them. And Jesse Woods is definitely, looking at that, Chris, he's definitely closing up on the back of Jeremy Huddleston, so...
With 4 laps remaining, I think Jezza and Jesse are both capable of going past Liam, but Liam is doing a great job leading this field. But still, as they come down around the S's, Liam Waters, Jeremy Huddleston and Jesse Woods, nothing at all between them. Nathan Green looking like he's just run a little bit wide there, and I'm not sure what's happened to Taran Ocean back in 5th, but he certainly dropped off the pace.
Yeah, the first 3 looking very strong, and I'll stick with my first prediction prior to the race, Chris, with Jesse Woods in 3rd. I think he will get through. He'll show his form as the race continues. Yeah,
I'll have to take back my early tip. I think Taran was showing some good early form, but whatever's happened to him.
Especially here on the brakes is where Jesse Woods has been really strong all day, at the end of the straight. And once again showing his strength on the brakes. And he's
that was tight.
Had a big look up the inside of Jezza Huddleston there, but didn't quite have enough room to get through. So it stays stationed in the 1st, 2nd and 3rd unchanged from the previous lap.
Well, Jezza knows he needs to do something because he's got
does.
Jesse breathing down his neck, so he's going to have to put a move here somewhere on young Liam. But unlike racing Jesse, he hasn't got a straight line speed advantage over Liam, so he's going to have to try something else to get past him.
It's all going to be on the brakes, I dare say. Let's keep good flowing lines and keeping your corner speed up, but it's going to come down to a outbraking duel between the three.
Yeah, I honestly can't pick it, Rod.
One thing about the young Liam's bike, he's very lightweight, and that bike's very fast, and it's got a clear advantage down the back straight here. And Jeremy Huddleston, right in the slipstream, can't pull out and pass him.
No, in fact, Liam's just gapping them by 3 or 4 bike lengths. In fact, Jesse probably will go past this time, and he does. It's still pretty tight. I think he's going to get it done. Yes, he does. So Jess is going to have to find a little bit more than that if he's going to win this race.
Well, we're just starting the last lap now, so Jesse Woods into second place. He's looking very strong, and it's a matter of where he can actually get this done. So Jeremy Huddleston also looking like he wants to make a move on Jesse Woods again. So it's going to come down, I think, Chris, to that last corner.
But lap traffic coming up again, Rod. This could play a part.
Especially right where they're catching them here, right at the top of the hill. So there's not a lot of room there.
Yeah, 2 back markers, each having their own race. I can't see any blue flags out, so I don't know if they're aware that the leaders are coming through. But I think all 3 are going to get past. Almost, yes.
Okay, well, here we go. Down the back straight for the last time, and Jesse Woods is a long way back, but he's had big breaks in the previous races, so...
Round the outside over the start-finish line, Rod. I think Jesse's been doing that all day.
I think he's definitely got the speed, and here he comes, Chris. He's got getting the hammer down, but Liam Waters showing some real speed here. Oh, it's on the line. You couldn't split them.
I'd say Jesse Woods has got it by half a tyre width.
It looks like Jesse Woods got it by 0.116 of a second.
What a finish. Well, you did pick it, Rod.
Not by that margin, but I picked it. Well, that was a great finish, Chris. That was a very, very tight across the line. Very tight. Great move by Jesse. Kept that corner speed up and just ran it around the outside. But great ride from Liam Waters, you know, showing experience well beyond his age. Nearly winning the race here, first time at Baskerville, and he's only 14 years of age. So it was a phenomenal race. And
yeah, obviously a real talent for the future.
Someone to watch for the future for sure.
Without a doubt. But as is Jesse Woods, he's always impressed us as a racer and as a individual. He's one of the most humble, friendly people you meet in the paddock, and truckloads of talent.
And I think Jesse did his fastest lap of the race on the last lap, a 58.7 on lap 5. Just got to put my glasses on, Chris, to have a look. Show him age.
Can't see the zoom button there, Rod?
No, there's no zoom button.
We'll have to get a big widescreen telly for you.
That'd be better. That's just too small a monitor these days.
Well, certainly the lights have turned it on for us again. I don't think you get much better than that. 0.016 of a second. 116, beg your pardon. Right on the finish line. Absolutely fantastic racing.
Yes, and Jeremy Huddleston was 0.4 at the line, so nothing in it between the 3.
Yeah, I think you're very hard pressed if you don't find that level of racing entertaining. These guys certainly put it on for us.
Yes, I'd say the best racing of the day has been in the lights category. We quite often do see that, but you know, obviously my favourite is the big bikes, but from what we used to do ourselves. But I just, you know, you can't beat the sight of a big bike pulling those power wheelies down the back straight and leaving the black lines on the track and all the wiggling and wobbling they do. It's just awesome to watch.
No, look, absolutely. They're certainly a spectacular bike to watch, but the lights racing this year has been something else. And when you think about a grid of 31 of them for the 2-hour at the 2-hour race meeting, that's going to be something else to watch. You imagine that level of racing for 20 laps.
It's going to get very busy.
It's going to get very busy, potentially very messy. There's only one thing for certain, and that is you don't want to miss it. It's going to be fantastic. So make sure you're out here. Dates, Rod?
2nd of December.
2nd and 3rd of December.
No, 2nd. 1st and 2nd. But
1st and 2nd, beg your pardon.
Yeah. Saturday's practice qualifying, and the 20-lap feature race for the lights is on the Sunday, the 2nd of December.
And not to mention the best riders in the state in the 2 hour itself, and potentially even some of the best races in the country we've seen in previous years. So there's every chance you're going to see that level of competition again. It's certainly one to make sure you're here for. Same weekend as the MRA toy run, so people are often in town. It's worth dropping out and having a look at some of the best motorcycle racing you'll see.
Well, Chris, we're down to the final race for the Open and 600.
Yeah, a bit hard to see Brett Simmons being bettered. I think he's clearly had the advantage today, but I'll be keen to keep an eye on Cody Travers. He's been progressively improving during the day. I think he could well put in a good ride here.
Yes, it's going to come down to probably the same protagonists from the earlier races, but I think Kurt Shashams will be probably the one to watch for second position. But Cody Travers is definitely capable of running it with Kurt if he gets a good start and gets on the money.
Yeah, I know both Kurt and Jason Spencer have had a few issues off the line together. In race 1 they actually had some contact.
They did actually.
Yeah, and race 2 I think Kurt wasn't particularly happy with Jason riding around the outside of him through turn 1. I think that got a little bit close as well. So just the nature of a lot of bikes going into first corner together, and a lot of people being hungry to get best track position you can get, but it just goes to show that these guys do get out there to give it everything they've got. Things do get close, and I fully expect to see that again, Rod.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just looking at the flags today, Chris. There looks like they have a tailwind down the back straight today.
Yeah, unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't often see that here.
Often get it at Simmons Plains where the wind actually changes direction and can really catch you out under brakes. When you have a wind giving you extra speed down the straight, and it takes more pulling the bike up.
Yeah, we did. I've raced at Simmons Plains myself, and it's been extremely windy, and you almost need to change your gearing. It has a big effect with the higher speeds.
For sure, the difference between a tailwind and a headwind through there can be 20 kilometres an hour, or what feels like 20 kilometres an hour. It makes a big difference, as does Phillip Island, notoriously windy circuit.
Yeah, we're starting to get a little bit of breeze now, I can see, Chris, with not a lot. It's still pretty good, but don't often see that tailwind though. It's usually across the circuit, usually coming from the northern side of the circuit.
Yeah, very unusual. But really, we probably the best conditions you'll ever see here at Baskerville for bike racing today.
Certainly the best I've seen for a while.
Hamish Sellers coming up to pick up his grid position. He's certainly been riding well. Great race great ride in race 3. Be interesting to see what he can do. The inside of row 2. John Parnell.
Yeah, he got third position in race 3, Hamish, so he definitely came through the field well. Got a good start.
Typically gutsy ride from John Parnell there. He's been, as we said earlier, recovering from a broken ankle. Always rides that R6 well.
And we've got the two gentlemen you were just referring to, second and third on the grid, that have had a couple of close shaves with each other off the start line. So we'll see how that that starting procedure of Kurt's goes again, Chris, because it's been a bit hit and miss for him so far.
I do know Brett Simmons is a very good starter, but I'd give it to Brett Simmons again for the run around the outside into turn 1, and sure enough he does get it, just edges out Kurt Shashams.
That was probably the best start I've seen Kurt get all day actually on that bike, so he certainly didn't have the issues he's had in the previous couple of races.
It'd be great to see Kurt right on the back of Brett coming down the straight to see how fast that Kawasaki is relative to the R1. Oh, that was close. A big moment for Kurt Shashams at the bottom of the hill. Right out of the seat. And that's lost him plenty of ground on Brett Simmons, but that's what you get when you have to try and beat Brett Simmons.
Is there traction control on that bike, Chris? I thought they had traction control. It certainly did. It wicked up pretty hard.
Well, as we said, it's lost him a bit of track position, but he's right back on it again now. I don't think it's going to be close enough to give Brett a run, but there you go. Cody Travers, as I was saying, has been improving during the day, and now he's right on the back of Kurt Shashams. This will be good to watch. That is Cody's older GSX R1000, so it's a bit long in the tooth. Certainly nothing like what Kurt Sushams is riding, but at the same time he's very familiar with it, so he does ride it well.
And behind Cody we've got, looks like Brad Hughes on the CBR 1000, John Parnell on the R6, and it must be Jason Spencer, who's probably, maybe by now, having some tyre issues.
Well, it's Hamish Sellers between them.
Oh, it's Hamish Sellers?
Yeah, and then Jason Spencer. So Spence must have got a bad start, because he's usually further up than that. I can't imagine anything's that wrong. He's that far back for any other reason than a bad start. Cody Travers certainly riding this well. I don't know that he's going to have enough to really challenge Kurt Sushams. Kurt's maybe pulled out of the bike length on him. That was certainly a big moment for Kurt Sushams at the bottom of the hill.
There goes Chip Sellers up the inside of Brad Hughes, and looks like he's got very wide.
And lost 2 positions, I think.
And looks like John Parnell to say, thank you very much, I'll have that position as well. So, not the desired outcome for Chip Sellers, going up 1 position and back 2.
No, but
that's racing.
It is racing. Sometimes you need to risk a bit to get a bit. And sometimes it doesn't work for you. Brett Simmons firing that R1 down the back straight again. Another nice big wheelie off the hump, but it looks like he's extending his lead now over Kurt Sushams, and I'd say Kurt's even extending that lead over Cody Travers. It's certainly congested further back then. Oh, who's that? Jason Spencer up the inside of John Parnell, but John looking to come. Oh no!
Oh. John
Parnell down, touched Jason Spencer. Jason, keep it up. Yes, he does. So John Parnell looking to go up the inside of Jason Spencer, but lost the front as he touched the back wheel of Jason Spencer.
So there's going to be a red flag there. There's
there's fairing sitting on the track.
There's a piece of fairing sitting on the track, and a bike in a very bad position, so they may need to have a look at that.
Importantly, it looks like John's okay.
Yeah, you know, John recovered from that broken ankle. That's not the sort of thing you want to do to it.
No, and even if he's okay, there's nothing like it's a sickening feeling having a crash like that. It was a pretty quick one. It was a good 140, 150 kilometres an hour through there.
Yeah, look at Brett Simmons slowed right there and had a bit of look at the track, and looks like a tail section or something sitting on the circuit there, Chris.
It's very surprising that there's not flags out. I can see a yellow flag waving down there, but obviously they haven't reported back to race control yet that there's parts of the machine sitting on the track.
The only saving grace there, it's not on the racing line, but it is actually on the circuit. It is very much on the inside of the circuit where you're not going to normally be running.
Yeah, nasty accident there, something we never like to see, but once again, just great to see John Parnell back up, obviously moving freely. Just gone over to collect something from his bike, or turn it off perhaps, maybe it was still running. I don't know what that does to the 600 championship rider. Probably is enough to give John O'Hughes the 600 title.
Don't know. I'm not sure. Well, they were tied on points, did you say?
They were coming in, and John certainly had John O's measure during the day, but whether or not it's enough to give him the last race, who knows?
Yes, will be very interesting having a look at the points. As John Parnell has been finishing very strongly all day, so quite a bit ahead of Johnny Hughes, so he may have enough up the sleeve, you just don't know.
Yeah, it does demonstrate again though that these guys do give it their all. If they see an opportunity, their races, they'll give it a crack, and that's what happened there.
Yeah, it's a big shame. It looks like quite a bit of work to do on that bike of John's to get that up and running again. It looks a bit messy from here.
Yeah, I don't know that it flipped over, Rod. I think it might have just spun in there backwards, so hopefully it's not too bad for him. Certainly wants a new paint job, if nothing else.
It certainly spread the field out anyway, Chris. Got Brett Simmons still comfortably in the lead. Kurt Sushams second place, just going into turn 1 now, and Cody Travers. Got young Hamish Sellers in 4th position. So another strong ride from Chip.
Tell you what, Jason Spencer was very lucky there as well. He was out in the dirt. Probably didn't know it hit him, literally.
And he's recovered very well to still be in 6th position. Dare say there's a bit of rubber marks or a few things on the side of Jason's bike.
I think there's every chance of that. Yeah, I saw Jason outbrake John at the end of the straight, but ran a little bit wide, and John Parnell thought he had the opportunity to come back under him, and Jason Spencer, not realising John was there, cut across his nose, and obviously took out John's front wheel, which is yeah, a real shame for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're just coming around now. They're on the last lap, Chris. Certainly spread the field out with that accident.
Yeah, certainly has. As we expected, Brett was going to have this well in hand. In fact, 4-second margin over Kurt Sushams, who then has another 4-second margin over Cody Travers.
Here's Chris. We've got to look at Damien Fools on Chris McGrath's ZX10 with Chris McGrath on his 600. So there's a bit of bragging rights going on here. The two riders are going to be sharing the bike in the 2-hour. Chris is doing all he can to try to get ahead of Damien here. It's going to be a tough ask.
Yeah, I can't see him doing much down the straight against that 1000cc Kawasaki.
Right up his back wheel is Marcus Delaney and Jonathan Hughes. So nice little battle here, a group of 4 riders.
Yeah, and as we expected, the 1000cc Kawasaki Damien Falls pulls out a nice margin down the straight, which should give him position, I think. Although Chris McGrath not far off him, I doubt he'll get a chance to challenge over the start-finish line.
She's on him. Oh,
they would have had a lot of fun with that anyway, Rod.
Yeah, certainly would have.
So second last race for the day. Last to come is the Formula Basketball, Pre-Modern 500 and Historic 500.
Just recapping that race for everybody. Brett Simmons with the win, Kurt Sushams in 2nd, Cody Travers 3rd, Hamish Sellers in 4th, Brad Hughes, Jason Spencer, Damien Fools, Chris McGrath, Marcus Delaney and Jonathan Hughes rounding out the top 10. See the times there, Chris. Still Kurt Sushams there into the high 54s in that race, so he was still pushing very hard, and Brett Simmons once again in the low 54s.
Yeah, certainly a class ride again from Brett today. Faultless display, in fact, of racing, you know, particularly at that pace. Yeah, the track conditions were there, but yeah, he wasn't pushed. He didn't need to do those sort of lap times, but he did lap after lap. So well done to him. Kurt Sushams obviously, you know, still coming to grips with that newer model Kawasaki, and I'm sure as he continues to work on it, times will improve. But still a quality ride for Kurt in 2nd place. You know, he had some very capable guys there behind him. As we said, Cody Travers is no mug punter, and he rode very well on that old GS6000 as well.
Yeah, it certainly did. Very competitive. Yeah, I think the little incident with John Parnell and Jason Spencer really did spread the field out, because there was bikes and people diving everywhere. The main thing is it looks like everyone's okay. John is up walking around picking up parts of his bike, I can see around the sweeper. So the broken ankle that he sustained, that's well on the way to healing, looks like it's walking alright. Just good to see.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's always a worry when you see riders go down like that, but certainly looks like John's okay.
Yeah, he's very fit, John, too, so he does a lot of work, a lot of running, a lot of cycling, a lot of swimming. Nearly every day he's doing something for his fitness, for different things that he does. So racing bikes is one thing, but he also does a bit of triathlons and other things that he does. So yeah, I guess having that level of fitness would benefit him in those instances when you come off a motorcycle.
Yeah, along with a bit of good luck.
That always helps.
Well, while this spike's being collected, we might just have a very, very quick break and rejoin you for the very last race of the day. So bikes back on track now for the final race of the day. Our Formula Basketball Pre-Modern 500 and Historic 500. Certainly riders to watch so far today have been Julian Winlow on that CR 500 and Rob Scott on the SV 650, who've really been at it hammer and tongs all day. Not far behind them, Matthew Long, been riding very impressively on the VFR 400. And some of the other Formula Basketball Championship contenders, Kane Bauman, Carmen Baumeister, all walking that fine line between pushing as hard as you can without breaking that 65-second lower limit, I guess, on how fast you can go before you incur penalties. So I think probably the man who's done that best today is Kane Bauman there on the third row on the number 32 machine. But certainly the action at the front, I expect to be Julian Winlow again on that CR 500. Certainly been spectacular to watch. In fact, I'm not even sure that Rob Scott's going to line up for the last race. Maybe he's decided to pack up. He's got a long drive home. No, it looks like that's the case. So we've got two VFR 400s on the front, Matt Long and Craig Johnson. CR 500 usually been getting away well. Often pulls a big wheel stand in turn one. But no, the VFR 400s, both of them getting away nicely. In fact, it's Craig Johnson who'll lead the race for the first time today. That's going to be really interesting to see. I spoke too soon. It looks like the CR 500s might going to round him up. No, he doesn't quite do it. Round the S's, down towards the bottom of the hill. Craig Johnson will hold out the CR 500 for the run up the hill for the first time. I was saying that it's going to be great to see those two VFR 400s of Craig Johnson and Matthew Long going head to head for the first time today. They've both been running good lap times. I would expect the CR 500 to get away, but it'd be interesting to see the run down the straight just to see how the VFR 400 goes against the CR. Looks like Craig's holding him out at the moment.
We've got Craig Johnson in the lead, Chris.
Yeah, for the first time today, Rod. Good to see.
Look at the difference in... Julian Winlow got very wide there, but he tried to go the long way around the outside at the end of the straight.
Yeah, I was just saying it's going to be a great contest between the two VFR 400s of Craig Johnson and Matthew Long. I'm keen to see if those guys get together, who's going to come out on top.
I would... well, they're both... Craig Johnson, very experienced campaigner. Yeah, he'll definitely have the bit between his teeth for sure. But I think Matthew might have his number if Matthew got up near him. Well, bit of youthful exuberance.
Yeah, quite possibly, although no one's been in Matthew's way yet, and it looks like Craig is putting a bit of a gap on him. The difference between first and third looks to be growing. I know Matt was in the mid-62s earlier in the day.
Yeah, Matthew was definitely posted some quicker lap times than Craig, but anyway, we'll see what happens.
Julian Winlow again looking around the outside of Craig Johnson, but not quite close enough there. I'm not sure where he might get that done, Rod. Might have to be through the S's.
Yeah, I think if Julian needs to use the advantage of that CR 500 up through the windier parts of the circuit, and yeah, if you, either one or into two, or top of suckers or something like that, but certainly won't have the legs up the hill or down the back straight.
Carsten Baumeister there just putting up a move on Kane Bauman and gives him the don't argue on the way out. Kane looks at him as if, what are you doing there, mate? Carsten, he takes up a bit of, occupies a bit of space on the track.
Yes, he certainly does. It looks like Kane's going to try and go on the inside here at Suckers, but it's a little bit too far back to pull that move off there. Certainly a fairly good bunch there. Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 or 7 bikes all within about 2 seconds there, Chris.
Yeah, but back to our leaders at the end of the back straight. Craig Johnson still holding off Julian Winlow. Like I said, it's going to be hard to see where Julian might put an easy move on, because it doesn't seem that he has the straight line speed to hold off Craig Johnson. Matthew Long now coming up to make it a definite line of 3. So I don't know if Matt's going to have much say in where he can get through on Julian Winlow either. It might have to be back down the back straight, Rob.
Yeah, and Craig Johnson there, he's down into the low 63, so I think that's the quickest he's been all day. So definitely the right time to do it in the last race and try and get a win.
Yeah, as I was just saying, Matt's been a bit quicker today, so certainly if he could get past Julian Winlow, maybe he's a chance at doing something with Craig Johnson, but finding his way past Julian Winlow is not proving to be very easy.
Well, Craig Johnson's definitely looking as the best he's looked all day. Like he's at 63 flat on lap 2 today in this race, so that's definitely his quickest time of the day. And looking at it, Chris, I would say that he's comfortable in the lead, and the boys aren't going to challenge.
Certainly looking that way. Whether or not Matt Long can find a way through, it's going to be hard through the twisty bits of the circuit to find his way through on the CR500.
And if he does, you'll probably get a don't argue as well from Julian.
Yeah, quite possibly.
It's, you know, he's got very wide handlebars, and Julian will always have another go at it. He will never ever die wondering.
Well, speaking of don't argues, Garth Newton's just done don't argue with Carsten Ballmeister. He's given him the same back, bringing right round the outside of him through turn 1 and riding away very nicely on that edge of E250.
Yeah, it certainly has, and put a very big gap on Carsten there. You've got half the hill over him, so not bad for a little 250cc bike against a 919cc Honda.
And Julian Winlow, as we speak, goes right around the outside of Craig Johnson at the end of the straight. A move he's been looking to do all day. I tell you what, that's getting a bit tight. Both looking for position coming over the start-finish line. Craig Johnson is not going to take that lying down, so he's going to try everything he can to get past Julian Winlow.
I think the trouble now for Craig is that Julian's now entering the part of the track that the CR500 works very well in, and you can see how much more corner speed the Honda 500 can hold there. And Julian Winlow's asking everything of that back tyre there up the hill. A very large wobble there, Chris. I'm not sure whether you caught that, but he's asking everything of that rear tyre.
Yeah, he's certainly enjoying himself. He's put a big gap on Craig Johnson only in half a lap. So as you say, he's certainly asking everything of the bike.
Yeah, I'd say it's going to be a tough one for Craig to come back from here.
With 3 laps remaining, it'll be interesting to see if Matt Long can do much with Craig Johnson. They're pretty much tied together on track, both riding the same machines. And I think Matt's done the faster lap of the day, so he certainly has the speed. If he can reproduce it, he's every chance at overcoming Craig Johnson in front of him, so it'll be good to watch.
Yeah, it's whether he's got the racecraft and the ability to, you know, work out where to beat him, but he certainly has been quicker today. Nothing over the last couple of laps, only a couple of tenths, and their quickest laps in this race virtually identical as well. So I think young Matty's got it in him, but he's just going to have to use his head and have a think about where he can get past Craig. Yeah,
not a lot of time left. He's going to have to make that decision pretty quickly, because next time around they'll be seeing the last lap board. I think Julian Winlow's disappeared. He's well and truly out in front now, so obviously he's just biding his time there behind Craig Johnson. Interesting to see the comparison of straight line speeds between the two VFR 400s. Hardly anything in it. In fact, it doesn't even look like Matt Long picked up a slipstream, but certainly ranging up behind him under brakes. It's certainly close.
Yeah, he's certainly having a look, but just about to start the last lap. So if he's going to do it, he needs to quickly decide where he's going to do it and have a go.
Had a look up the inside, but not close enough. Whether or not he's been planning a move or not, I can't say, Rod.
Well, he certainly looks stronger, like a lot of guys. He looks stronger at the end of the main straight and a little bit later on the break. So that's probably his only chance. But you need to be right on the back of Craig Johnson, hard on his tail section down the back straight for that to happen.
Yeah, going to be very, very hard for him from here. It's going to have to be down the end of the main straight. Putting on a move into Calvin's is very, very hard, particularly on a guy like Craig Johnson.
Well, he's certainly close enough right now, but whether he can get a good run onto the straight and tuck right in behind and hopefully get a small toe, and you know, he's definitely got the bigger brake, so let's just have a look and see if he's going to have a go. He's definitely close enough, but
he's got to have a crack, but around the outside, I think he might have caught Craig napping a bit there.
He done it easy. Looks like Craig's thinking, okay, young whippersnapper, I'm going to have a go at you around the outside. So it's going to be a drag to the line between the two.
Nice. Matt Long's going to get the better of him. Good job.
Well done, Matthew Long. Very, very good move there to get through to second place.
Yeah, I think Craig was covering his line there at the end of the straight, but didn't anticipate Matt coming down the outside. Did it very nicely. Looks like Brett Mansfield there has got the better of Carsten Burmeister and Phil Paps across the line. Robbie Reardon there on the Ninja 300 coming up behind them. On that Emerita, on that, I think it's a orange Yamaha R6. Just
Emerita, it says it's a CBR 600.
Oh, CBR 600, is it?
Yeah. So it looks like we've got a couple of people in Formula Basketball once again have gone underneath that time, Chris. So we'll, no doubt the timekeeper will be busy working that out, and we'll see if there's any penalties to be applied.
Yeah, always an issue in that class, Rod. The 65-second limit. I know it's under review for next year as to what the penalties may be and what the time limit may be, but always becomes an issue.
Yeah, so Julian Winlow with the win, comfortable again on the CR 500, showing all the road bikes the way around a racetrack.
Certainly been a very entertaining day's racing, Rod.
Yes, it's been, especially the lights category today has been phenomenal. The pre-modern open and historic open Formula 3 has been fantastic as well, with some really close racing. So the big bikes are always fun to watch. But yeah, I think the lights today definitely stole the thunder for me.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I'd have to say ride of the day for me goes to Jesse Woods, particularly that the victory in race 4.
Yeah, he wasn't sure when I quickly called him down and Jesse down in the pits. He said, "Did I get it?" I said, "Yeah, by 0.01 something. It was that close." So I don't think he could tell when he crossed the line whether who won. It was that close between them. No, quite a safe day too. Very, very few incidents, and those that we did see, no obvious injuries, which is what we always like to come away with. Nice, clean racing. A few big moments. But certainly that one of Kurt Susham's at the bottom of the hill was as close as you want to come to having a moment without falling off. He's certainly up out of the seat. Yeah, Kurt, I was talking to him before. He said he thought he was gone, but he was very lucky to stay on the bike. He was some setting he was playing with. He went a couple of clicks too far, I think he said. But anyway,
that'd be the throttle position.
It was something else. One of the electronic assistances the bike has.
I think that's the right hand, Kurt.
Could be the right hand.
A bit too much of it. But yeah, very entertaining day's racing. I've certainly enjoyed it, Rod. Always enjoyable to be up here with you. Probably
yes.
one of the best views in the house.
Yes, the only part we're lacking is the bridge blocks off our run onto the straight. We can't quite see the entry onto the main straight, but otherwise it's a very good view around the whole circuit from here.
Yeah,
Mark
so,
Delaney, get a dog up here. Okay. Nice to see a quality t-shirt being worn by you, Mark.
By a quality individual. Just loving it.
I think that about wraps up the day for us up here in the commentary box.
Yeah, we'll be back next race meeting for the Motorworks Bridgestone 2 Hour in December. It's certainly one not to be missed. Very much looking forward to that, Rod.
Yeah, that's going to be 2 full days of bikes on track with hopefully well supported 2 hour race. Certainly the other categories are looking really well supported. So it's always traditionally been a good event. When we've had the event run its full distance, we have been a little bit unlucky with weather twice with the 2 hour race, but
we certainly have.
Yeah, we've had some pretty poor conditions with rain and bits and pieces, but hopefully, fingers crossed, 1st and 2nd of December this year we'll get some fine weather. It'd be lovely if it was like today.
Don't forget as well, next weekend there's more bike racing at Symonds Plains. There's a Tasmanian Motorcycle Club round up there, so if you enjoy your motorcycle racing, get along. Once again, it's free entry, and always good racing up there as well. So with that said, I think time for you and I to sign off, Rod. I'm sure everyone's had enough of you and I.
Yeah, more so you today, because I had a few chores in the middle of the day to attend to, but you've done a great job, Chris, without me here to help you for quite a bit of it.
Well, I appreciate that, thank you. It's your turn next time.
Wonderful.
All right, well, that said, we'll call it a day, and thanks for everyone for their attendance. I hope you enjoyed the day.
Thank you.